Well, yesterday was so much fun that we are doing it again, and realistically for the entire week, because that's how I do things. When I start a series, I've got to clump them all together and then maybe add some more, throughout or whatever. But today we are going to be doing another Soapmaker Reacts, and I am very much looking forward to seeing what the Soapprentices have come up with for this. And I will tell you more about it, and actually we will figure all that out together in just a minute. But before I do, hello, I am Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. How's it going, Sudsers? Welcome back to the channel. You are at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things, and you are here for week 27 of year 3, and yeah, today we are doing another Soapmaker Reacts. Now, if you missed yesterday's video, the Soapprentices basically got together and decided that it would be fun, actually, to just kind of put me on the spot and send me some videos that the Sudsers have sent through via DMs on social media and whatnot for me to react to. And so that's what we did yesterday. We did a wet wipe formula, which was very interesting because, like, wet wipes, I get that it's like a cosmetic, I suppose, but I primarily make soap, so Soapmaker Reacts, and I'm reacting to a product that does not contain soap. It does not get you clean by any stretch of the imagination. It's a good time. So I am looking forward to seeing what we do today and see if it's another one like yesterday and they're throwing more curveballs at me. So I'm going to point and we're going to go to the thing and see what they have in store for us. Now, okay, so this one I actually know what this is. I haven't seen the video yet, but I know where it came from, and it's actually kind of how this entire, series came about, because Mrs. Webman sent me a text message last week and said, "Hey, check this out. Maybe you should cover it on the channel because it's interesting, and I think maybe it's because, the soap of the type of soap that they used." And I saw that while I was working or whatnot, and the Soapprentices started thinking, because they were already going through all of my DMs, and I had all of these videos and links and recipes and stuff that people had sent me asking me to weigh in on or cover it on the channel or what have you. And that's sort of what got the wheels turning. So looks like they put this one in for that reason, and I'm very excited for it because it's a very interesting thumbnail that says essentially, your soap is dirty. And the title of this video is "Your Soap Won't Get You Clean." Now, if you're not familiar with Style Theory, they are just kind of a fun YouTube channel, they remind me a lot of the Carlin brothers in their tone and inflection, and they do just kind of fun, wacky stuff. So it's interesting that they're doing this now. That's not the vibe that I remember them doing, but let's check it out. Let's see what we have going on with Soap Won't Get You Clean.
As a part of the experiment was absolutely washed off and down the drain just through gravity and water and soap alone. But that prompted a lot of you in the comments to leave us follow-up questions. Specifically, just how clean are those legs?
Okay, so the idea of how effective is soap. This is very interesting, first and foremost, because, if you didn't know about it before COVID, you certainly know about it now. Soap is very effective. Soap is a surfactant. It is the easiest way to get a surfactant, and by nature of being soap, it's going to be effective because what it does, because it has a happy side and a sad side, a positive side, a negative side, hydrophilic, hydrophobic, and what that is doing with these fatty acids that have combined to create essentially a salt It is going to take the dirt, the grime, the germs, all the things, break them off of the skin essentially, allowing them to be further broken down because of the surfactants and then washed away. So we know that soap is effective. It's weird that they're doing this, but let's continue.
Alright, so when you walk into the bath aisle at your local store and you're presented with dozens of different options, you've got your hard bars, you've got your liquid soaps, you've got your ones with added exfoliators to take off dead skin cells, and
First and foremost, just a nitpicky thing because we are soap makers and we are, whatever. That's not soap. None of those things are soap. So this is already an interesting experiment, but I mean, fair point. We look at a bar of Ivory or Dial or Dove or, the body wash or whatever and just assume soap, like it gets you clean, right? And that's true, it does, because it's made up of synthetic surfactants. So that is a true statement, but just because I am a soap maker, I want to go ahead and correct that little error before we continue.
That is what we're aiming to test today, my friends. We are equipped with all different forms of soap to test out what is going to get our legs the cleanest and to make sure that we're capturing all the invisible bacteria and microbes on our legs. We've got these bunch of petri dishes to see what's actually growing on there.
So where we left off last time was that soap is a cat dog molecule. It has a watery end and it has an oily end, and that helps to lift all the dirt off your legs and wash it away. So soap actually has two functions. One is a chemical function and one is a mechanical function. And what that means is that it's doing different things on your legs depending on what you're talking about living there. So for viruses, did you know that regular soap actually kills viruses? So for the oily end, that actually sticks to the outside of viruses. Viruses have what's called a phospholipid layer around it. It's basically just like an oily bubble around the
100%.
virus.
Lipid means fat.
Exactly. Hey, way to go,
done.
science.
Yeah, science.
So when you wash your legs with soap, that oily end actually sticks to the outside of that virus bubble and pries it open. And then the virus is naked and exposed to the world, and it just immediately dies. But soap actually also has a mechanical function, and that's where things around bacteria come in. So you have a lot of bacteria just naturally living on your legs. And bacteria are actually living organisms, which means they're a lot harder to just kill than a little virus bubble. So what soap is doing when you're washing your legs is not actually killing bacteria, it's lifting it off your legs and washing it away.
for our experiment today, we'll be using products all from the same brand, Dove. Why? Well, first, to keep the ingredients as similar as possible.
Okay, so first up, just looking at this ingredients list, right? As we know as soap makers, we have sodium lauryl isethionate, stearic acid, sodium taloate, or sodium palmitate, lauric acid, sodium isethionate, water, sodium stearate, cocamide propylbetaine, or sodium C14C16. What we know about labels, and specifically what Dove has to do, because again, this is not considered a soap by definition of, the FDA's terms. So we do know that this is the appropriate listing for a cosmetic, which means sodium lauryl isethionate is going to be your main ingredient in this. Now, we've talked about surfactants a whole bunch on the channel, but just keeping that in mind, we have, SCI, stearic acid, and essentially saponified oils. So that either tallow, palm, olive, sodium cocoate, so coconut oil, or palm kernel oil. So they've listed kind of everything that might go into this. So, but again, that's sodium taloate, that's saponified oils of tallow, right? So it's had the sodium hydroxide, all the jazz. It's almost like they've made a melt and pour bar plus stuff. Ooh, interesting. How is Dove made? Surfactants in and of themselves, or a melt and pour base or what have you, that shouldn't change the outcome because surfactants are, made to go ahead and, clean, just like you would expect with a regular bar of soap. We do understand that that comes with consequences, however, usually in the form of like a film that's being left on the skin that could actually trap, dirt and grime and all the whatnot inside. So I'm interested to see how these, tests go.
These are petri dishes. They're set up with a material in here called agar.
I'm interested in the process of how they're going to be swabbing these legs. So I guess, again, let's keep watching.
So before we can hop into the luxurious mud bath being prepared for us, we need to talk about swabs. We are getting all the samples our science-loving hearts can handle. Each person will be doing a total of 5 swabs. Our control swab to see what a base starting point is, a dirty swab once we've gotten all coated in gunk, a swab after rinsing our bodies with water but before using any soap, just to see how clean gravity and water alone can get us. And then one final swab per leg, which will each be using a different soap. Okay, it's finally time for our first swab of the day, the control. We all took special care to hit the key areas, ankles, thighs, thighs, calves, and the all-important behind the knee pit, if you will. Then we swabbed up and labeled our petri dishes, taking special care to keep them sterile and separate. Then, with all those sealed and stored in a safe place, which was actually our attic, it was time for the mud.
Okay, so first up, I find the collection of the swabs a little bit interesting. They didn't say that they did anything with the actual skin itself, so they didn't wipe it down with any rubbing alcohol. They didn't, add any sort of like water or dampness. It's essentially just a dry Q-tip that they are doing the thing with. Okay, fine. And I'm interested to see then how they actually get a good control off of all of the rest of the tests that they do, right? So they mixed up that mud just already by default because there is moisture involved in this. If the swab itself ends up with, moisture because of the mud and it's not just dirt, right? Well, it's going to start rotting faster than anything else because water. So let's continue on.
Opted for the grab and splat, which I felt like was a really efficient technique for getting all gooped up, but not everyone was a believer, so I had to demonstrate on someone else.
Here, you want more dirt? There you go.
It's getting washed with pure water and see what that does. And then from there, we can judge whether the soap actually makes our legs cleaner.
So we could take our pure water rinse swabs once we felt like we'd rinsed as much of the dirt off as we could. Even so, you could still see the mud stains on our skin, proving that the water couldn't get everything. I'm really curious to see what that looks like in our petri dishes later.
Okay, so yet again, I would go ahead and say that, I understand that this channel is for fun and it's entertainment, and that's great, whatever. So that's fun. Just as a little point of contention, though, if you're going to be doing science experiments like that, again, there was no wetness, there was no water, there was no moisture. No water had seemed to have touched the skin for the first sample, right? So you have a dry swab. So you have essentially just dead skin cells that are going to hang out in your agar and, in the petri dish. And with this one, in both cases, both with the actual mud and the wet leg, so I'm going to assume also with the two more swabs, the soapy legs or whatever, you are introducing water into this environment. And so when you put water into a petri dish with all the rest of the dead skin cells and whatnot, you are by nature, by default, going to end up getting more rotting than you would expect with a dry sample. Just a little point of contention there. It's completely fine. I'm sure that the soap is probably going to be fine anyway, and it's going to be less germy. But, based on the title of the video, it seems that that's not the case. So, cool. Let's continue on. Okay, this moment we took all our swabs, wrapped them safely in clean, sterile towels. Okay, right, exactly. So you did the thing. Again, you were introducing water into the thing. So if your results are you ended up with more rotting, I'm going to go because water. And, yeah, fun times. So let's see what their results are.
Stored them in our hot, stuffy attic for several days. No one disturbed them, nothing messed with them, they just grew, however much they wanted to grow. Happy little bacterium. 5 days later, it was time to bring them back down and analyze the results. And I can't make this up, friends, you just have to see it for yourselves. And we're about to get really candid, so everyone just hold on.
I don't think anyone predicted what we wound up seeing in these cultures. General reaction, this is disgusting, and a lot more disgusting than I expected, right? So if you look, you have like the Amy control and you have the Josiah control, right? These are what bacterial cultures are supposed to look like. Like, this is what I was expecting.
This was our base leg.
Yeah, this was you
normal.
Pre-shower, pre-dirtying, pre-anything, right?
Yes.
This is just the basic level of bacteria on your leg. And this is what a bacterial culture looks like, right? It is just a couple of dots, and they get bigger or smaller depending on, how big the culture is, right? But then you look across every other one in our test.
Okay, let me see if I can rewind this just a little bit. I want to see what we had going on here. Okay, so we have rinse only, soap 3, dirty leg, and then obviously the cultures that we just saw. Now, the dirty leg and the soap 3, so the soap versions of the cultures look very, very similar. Obviously, the dirty one looks, well, it's hard to tell, but the rinse only is a very interesting one too. And I think I know why this is the case. Well, let's talk about that in a minute. Let's see what they decided their conclusions were.
Every other one in our test, soaped, non-soaped, rinsed, dirty, whatever, and all of them are just overrun with these massive cultures. Like this is Stephanie freshly out of the mud, and this is Stephanie after having soaped.
This soap.
Yeah, after a full wash, after a full rinse.
With the full 20-second song, we did everything.
And the whole thing is covered in bacterial cultures. But before we get to kind of that, let's just talk about the first lineup here, which is the controls. Very clearly, I have the dirtiest legs.
This is Matt's control.
Yeah.
There is so much happening in this petri dish compared to like Josiah's control.
Yeah, I feel called out relative to Josiah's.
What was different about you? Here's the thing, right? Josiah's wearing shorts today.
Yeah.
On the day of this experiment, so was I.
Oh man.
Stephanie, while she has more cultures in this,
Yeah.
was wearing a dress.
Huh.
You were the only one wearing, like you are today, jeans.
I wear jeans like every day.
Yeah, you wear jeans every day.
No way. So this is...
How often do you wash your jeans?
I mean, I don't think it's anything about how often he washes his jeans so much as why I think there's more actual cultures, why the culture is bigger in the ones after soap. And it has a lot to do, well, first and foremost, what I have said already is the whole moisture thing, right? So if you have the bare legs, it's summertime, whatever, you're less likely to have like sweaty legs going on. You know what I mean? But if he just took his pants off right before, these are things that I'm saying on my channel now. So if he had just taken his pants off right before he took his cultures and then, you know, did the thing. So by nature, it's jeans, it's hot, it's summer, it's humid. There's more moisture going on in your leg, especially considering what the skin is. Remember, water likes to transfer through it very easily. And so, yeah, it's damper in there. You are probably getting a more of a moisture wetness in your culture, your original culture, than the other three. But I'll tell you the other reason why I think his culture had more. And I don't think it had anything to do with his jeans being dirty, but let's continue.
I've always been curious about and have always wanted to see done and have never been done. And it is making me question literally every product that I buy, which is kind of bad and kind of scary, but also I feel so much more empowered as a consumer because I'm like, oh, they're just selling me crap.
Yep.
Which I think is starting to get into the results here, Darius.
And I think that's my cue to take over. No offense, live action Matthew, but your shock and awe make for really messy recaps. So let's talk about what we're really seeing. After our cultures blow up at the mud pit with our dirty leg sample, the next in line is our clean water rinse. This is more or less what we did for our Do You Need to Wash Your Legs episode, letting the water just take off the dirt, and shockingly, we see a big difference here. The cultures, while still very bacteria-ridden, are definitely cleaner than our initial dirty swab in the mud bath. And that right there is the key for understanding the rest of our results. Because when we moved down to the next two rows where we used soap, things got dirtier. All of a sudden, there were more cultures, not less. We expected to see something more like our starting control with sparse, contained cultures. Instead, we see a whole ecosystem developing in the petri dishes. At first, I thought maybe it was the microbes living in our own shower water, but that actually can't be it. The water rinse swabs use the same water. We also swabbed in the same locations on our leg every time. So again, not it. And as far as we know, it wasn't bacteria on the soap because everything was opened fresh for this experiment. So seriously, what's going on here?
Now we add on soap and it got worse.
Okay, she's almost there. Like, she's almost there. I like that she went to the water thing, but I don't think she took it far enough. It's not the differences in the water. It's the water existing. But I really kind of don't like where this is going. Again, I know that this is an entertainment channel, but given the number of subscribers they have and the number of people that have watched this video, I'm feeling some kind of way about it. You know what I mean?
Rinse them, which makes me wonder what is wrong with the soap. Like, what is going on with the soap? Did we just moisturize the bacteria?
Why did the soap not do the one job?
I love this. Dove is different. It does not dry your skin like ordinary soap. It also does not clean your skin like ordinary soap, apparently. Or maybe not. Maybe all soap is bunk at this point. We have to do another episode of this because we standardized this to all be Dove soaps because we wanted it, the only variable, to be the style of soap that you were washing with. But really, I feel like now we need to test different styles of soap because are all of them not getting your legs clean?
Soap should still be soap.
So, right? Soap should still be soap, and soap should get your legs cleaner.
Okay, yeah, no, I mean, soap should still be soap. How many times have we said this on the channel? Soap is soap. Soap gets you clean, and that is accurate. It is an accurate statement. Soap gets you clean. That's what happens. And so everybody kind of geeking out about what's going on here and the end conclusion being they're actually dirtier. is, for me, really problematic. But generally speaking, I do like that they're thinking about their products and the stuff that goes into their products, because us as soap makers that make it, the handcrafted way, we know that we don't use the surfactants and all of the things. And we love the, actual as natural as possible and just going to, your oils and butters and the chemical process. But that said, I really do think an artisan bar of soap is going to yield the same results. And let me tell you why in just a minute. Let me see what this other gal has to say about it. They're going to bring her on again. I'm sure of it.
There seems to be a difference in the hygiene world and in the personal cleaning world between products that actually get you clean and literally kill bacteria and viruses and things like that, and products that are just there to make you smell nice and remove surface stains. And I think that is the shock that I have in this. When I buy soap, I expect it to clean and sanitize me. But I don't think that's the case anymore.
Okay, for the record, if a soap is made out of a surfactant, whether it's a natural surfactant, so, via the cold process method, or they are synthetic surfactants, it's still a surfactant. It's getting you clean. Again, we have talked about the differences between the, the Doves and the Dials and all of the things that use the synthetic surfactants before, in that they can leave a layer on your skin, for sure. But I don't think that's what's going on here either. I don't think this is a difference between, Dove is bad, actually, and handcrafted soap is good.
So take it away, Steph. Please explain this chaos to us.
Welcome back to Steph's Science Corner, where I'm about to ruin your day, or rather, your soap is. When we last left off, I talked about how soap has one job, just one, which is to get you clean. But it turns out that soaps, like people, are more complex than we think. And right now, soap is going through a bit of an identity crisis. You see, it all depends on your definition of clean. Soap has always been about washing away dirt, but after COVID, society suddenly became very aware of the tiny microscopic world around us. And for the first time, consumers started to think again about what clean actually means. Suddenly, expectations of soap went from the basic wash away the dirt to protect me from all dirt, including microscopic contamination. But all soaps weren't quite ready to live up to that, which leads us to what happened today. Let's compare the beauty bar and washes we use today to Dove's other line of Care and Protect versions. Overall, we see pretty similar ingredients: oils for moisturizing, glycerin for keeping the body washing, acids and sodiums that create that cat dog effect we keep talking about. So what's the key factor that makes the Care and Protect line antibacterial? It seems to be this.
Okay, so first up, I understand that this is like an entertainment channel, but God, sometimes it's fun and sometimes it's just, wrong. And so with this, soap has not been going through an identity crisis since COVID. There have always been antibacterial soaps, and it's always been a question as to which is better. Okay. 2, the field of science has already weighed in on this multiple times, and I will go ahead and post multiple articles in the description about this. Antibacterial soap is not necessary. It's kind of a gimmicky thing, and a lot of people can't use antibacterial soap because of the very specific, whatever, which antibacterial soap is not something we've talked about a lot on the channel because we can't make it. It's a different classification, but that is not a thing. And antibacterial soap is not going to get you any cleaner than soap. And that's not going to be a difference within a sample if you were to do this test using antibacterial soap as opposed to regular soap. And let me tell you why in just a minute.
Bacterial preservative more commonly found in hand sanitizers and, surprisingly, eye drops. This one chemical is providing a 1-2 punch to the bacteria on your skin, so why not use it all the time in your normal soap? Well, Dove's big thing is how it nourishes your skin, and benzalkonium chloride can have a very drying effect. So not exactly what the beauty editors who helped design Dove products are going for, I guess. And listen, Dove has a history of getting in trouble for not living up to the claims in its marketing, so while I can make a scientific guess that benzalkonium chloride would make a difference, without doing another test ourselves, I'm not sure I can fully believe it. In short, our question now is what soaps are actually getting us clean and not just leaving our legs looking like this horror story? Are we now all forced to look closer at the ingredients in every product we buy? Honestly, that'll have to be a series of tests we do on another day. Because while it might seem like we need to throw out all of our soap, remember, at the start of this episode, none of us had specifically gone out and used antibacterial products, and yet Amy, Josiah, and Matthew and I all started out with very clean and normal control tests. So I'm not satisfied in saying that the only good soap is one that calls itself antibacterial, but I do think that this topic goes way deeper than any of us us could have predicted. Is it just Dove doing a bad job at being soap while making us also like a sweet, moist home for bacteria? Would their antibacterial products have even given a different result? Would any soap give a different result? And what is hiding in Matthew's jeans during the initial test that made it worse than everyone else?
Okay, so that was a lot. Again, for the umpteenth time, I understand that this is an entertainment channel. I do. I get it. And that's fun and it's awesome and it's cool. But I think the thing that they're actually missing while they're just, I don't know, weirdly like bagging on Dove. Don't get me wrong. I make regular soaps. You know what I mean? I love regular soaps. I think we should get away from all the synthetic surfactants and all of the, body bars and beauty bars and all the things. For sure. I think we should go back to basics. You definitely should be paying attention to what's in your soap. Absolutely. That said, antibacterial versus regular soap, that's not going to do it. Dove is not a lesser bar that's going to get you less clean because Dove, and also probably why they're getting flack in, the industry for, harmful chemicals, blah, 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 is because of skin sensitivity issues, which is one of the reasons why we like going back to basics for artisan soap. However, let's talk about this. If this was artisan soap, if this was regular cold processed soap that they were testing, would the results be any different? I say no, and here's why. You remember when Stephanie was explaining the function of soap, right? And that it has an actual breakdown property, but also a mechanical property, chemical and mechanical property, right? I think that's the important key that she's leaving out within all of this, coupled with the addition of water. If you were dealing with dry legs and you were doing your control sample, and then by nature of it having been in water, your skin is going to be moist, even if it was just dried off. You know how skin works. Skin likes to retain moisture, all of the things. So you're still going to have a layer when you do your dirt sample, when you do your water sample, and when you do obviously your soap sample. And so by default, because that water is already introduced into all of that, it is going to have more not fun stuff that's going to be forming for sure. But the secondary piece of that, the part that I think she left out with all of that, is the mechanical function. Now, again, I will put links below. I am certain that there are articles out there that are going to be very, very easy to find on this. The mechanical function of soap has been studied a lot. And we have shown within all of these studies that you are actually shedding a lot of bacteria for up to 2 hours or something after you wash for a number of reasons. One, the actual process, the friction, that mechanical process of scrubbing your body is helping break down all the phospholipid layers, all the things for sure. Love that for all of us. But it's also shedding your dead skin cells and bringing the new cells to the surface. Therefore, bacteria is already being shed. And so that is the reason why you're going to be experiencing the appearance of a germy leg or a germy sample after washing your body, because you immediately went ahead and did the sample. I think the better way for them to do this would be to test the exact same soap, any of those soaps. It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. They don't need to have 4 different soaps. Any of those soaps, get their sample right after they finish washing and they've, dried off their leg, and then get another sample 2 hours later. And I'm willing to bet that Petri dish is going to look a whole lot like the original control. So that's where I think they're actually missing this. And so, yeah, I mean, it made me uncomfy. Like I said, I know that it's entertainment and it was entertaining. It's fun. And I really like people, doing science experiments and whatnot. But as long as people understand that what they're watching is an entertainment channel and not walking away from that thinking Dove soap is bad / all soaps are bad, then fine. All the better. I'm glad that they did a thing and they got to learn some stuff. So at the end of the day, at least those people were looking at and thinking about the types of things that go into their soap, which is important. We should be label conscious. We should look at our labels and see what goes into our soaps for sure. So if everybody in the video walked away from that thinking that I should do that and not that I should stop using soap, all the better. All that said, I feel like I need a shower after watching that because, again, it did make me a little uncomfy, but it was fun. It was a good time. But I would, again, assert that the one piece that she is missing in analyzing her results is that mechanical function. So that's kind of it for me. Thank you guys so much for joining. I hope you had fun with this. If you guys are interested in me reviewing videos and whatever, obviously send them through. Let me know. The Soapprentices are on it. They're watching all the DMs and whatnot. Again, with my parameters, it has to be something we're not just bagging on other humans for no good reason. So do keep that in mind. And so I don't want to just analyze somebody's recipe and be like, well, that's a crap recipe. I'm not interested in that. Entertainment stuff, science stuff, all the things, all the better. I love it for sure. I am out of here. Like I said, I do need to shower after that. And this ended up taking me over an hour to film because I had to keep walking away real quick because I got stuff on the stove. But thank you. Sudsers, especially thank you. You were amazing. I appreciate you so much. I will see you guys all again tomorrow for another round of the Soapprentices doing weird things with my content. Soapy Reacts fun. Bye.